Some of the recorded tapes released today, dialogue of that constantly refers to state official number one as the go-to guy. Any indication that they're referring to you or your thoughts?
I would assume so.
But you had best ask the U.S. Attorney's Office.
What do you make of that? Why you're mentioned in this?
Well, again, I mean, most importantly, as governor, I have a responsibility to act ethically and responsibly. As I said on the outset of this investigation, that it will be clear at the conclusion of this investigation that everyone in state government acted appropriately, ethically, and responsibly. And I stand by that statement.
Governor, I thought it said 2 top state officials are mentioned in this indictment, which I haven't seen, but what I heard from Trenton, that 2 top, unnamed top state officials are mentioned. One you're figuring is you. Do you know who the other one is, and does it concern you that there's this mention?
Again, Jim, this was an investigation that took place over the course of 2 years, and it is clear we released literally hundreds of pages of documents, fully cooperated with the U.S. Attorney's Office. My responsibility as governor is to make sure that not only I act ethically and honorably and in accordance with the spirit of the law, that my administration does. And I said on the outset that it will be clear that our administration acted appropriately. And I think it is quite evident that we did. This was clearly an aggressive, thorough, detailed investigation. And I stand by my statement.
So it's over as far as the administration is concerned, do you think? Have you gotten a clean bill of health from the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Again, my statement is what my statement is. Every day, I act in accordance with the highest standards of principles and integrity. For all my strengths and failures, my work ethic and honesty has never been in question. And again, so I stand, and the U.S. Attorney is doing what a U.S. Attorney ought to do, and that is to investigate. And I respect that process. I'm a former assistant prosecutor. It is the charge, it is the responsibility of a U.S. Attorney to investigate wrongdoing. That is the function of the office, and that is a function which I have grave respect for and is appropriate. And so now that the investigation has concluded, there is no allegation of wrongdoing by our administration. And I would argue that the system works, and it is quite clear that the administration acted ethically and appropriately.
Sure, Josh?
Governor, did you ever mention this alleged code word Machiavelli in a conversation with Mr. Halper?
Yes, I did use the word Machiavelli, but it was not a code word. It's a literary allusion. And for those of you who know me, in New Jersey politics, Machiavelli is not a far-off, remote word. It all too often describes, the certain political antics. But again, I stand by my statement. And every day, my responsibility is to get up, to work hard, honestly and ethically for the citizens of the state of New Jersey, and I do so. Every day, I work diligently to be responsive to the citizens, whether it's on property tax reform here today or in the deliberations of government. And, evidently, there was, an attempt by the government to witness me doing something wrong, saying something inappropriate or unethical. And I did not. Unfortunately, after reviewing the documents last night, the press release and the indictment, regrettably, I have to question the motives of the wording within that indictment. If someone has done wrong, it is clearly the responsibility of the U.S. Attorney to indict that individual and secure a prosecution. Unfortunately, however, a 47-page indictment against an act of fraud from my perspective, was regrettably an attempt to smear my personal integrity, my character, and my reputation. In life, we all have our relative strengths and weaknesses. I, during the course of my life, as with any mortal, have made my share of mistakes. Yet, through all my years as a mayor of Woodbridge, as an assemblyman, as a state senator, no one has ever questioned my honesty or my work ethic. And it was in the nature of my person, by virtue of my training, my values, and my great belief in the system of laws, to have the conviction that the process works and works well. And as I noted, I repeatedly, both personally and publicly, in fact, as recently as yesterday, defended the U.S. Attorney's Office in doing what, in arguing that it was doing what ought to be done. But after reading the indictment, I can no longer do so. As I stated from the outset of this investigation, we have been professional, we have been straightforward, we have worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office literally to turn over hundreds of documents throughout all of state government, literally leaving no stone unturned. And now simply I call upon the U.S. Attorney's Office to do the same, to act with the same transparency as we've acted, namely to release all the documents and the tapes. I am convinced that the U.S. Attorney's Office and the U.S. Attorney knows what I know, that I, as well as the entirety of my office, did nothing wrong. Unfortunately, this was not a straightforward document as to the indictment of a single individual. As a former prosecutor, I've read many, a former assistant prosecutor, I've read many indictments. Unfortunately, this read like more of a political novel. What's more striking is after a 2-year aggressive effort involving subpoenas, search warrants, and government money, the U.S. Attorney's Office found no wrongdoing by state government. There were 3 secret specific attempts to have me say or do something wrong. And of course, I did not. Mr. Christie states that the accused will cry politics. The irony here is that no one in state government has been accused of any wrongdoing. And I understand the U.S. Attorney's Office frustration. Despite an aggressive, thorough investigation, which I vigorously defended as being proper and appropriate, no wrongdoing, absolutely none, was found by any state government official. And again, I defended the entirety of the investigation as appropriate, as necessary, and I required all branches of state government to comply. First, there was the actual search of the New Jersey State Democratic Committee. Then, subsequently, an investigation of the Treasurer's Office, a subpoena of the Governor's Office, and subsequently questioning at the Department of Agriculture. And they found nothing. By analogy, it was simply we were searching for weapons of mass destruction again and again and again. But in every venue, there was no wrongdoing. I have stated that my administration acted ethically, appropriately, and legally. And we have done everything right and appropriate. It is incumbent upon the U.S. Attorney to release all documents and tapes to demonstrate to the New Jersey public that I myself have acted honorably and appropriately. Again, we've been honest and open with regards to this investigation. I believe it is also important that the U.S. Attorney as well be transparent.
This is wrong. We're here today to celebrate the breast cancer.
But
Quote and stuff like that, but we're all here because we're breast cancer. I'm a 9-year breast cancer survivor. Stage 4.
David. This is America. We respect your right to say. Don't worry, I'll defend.
Go head to head with me. Ask Governor McGreevey.
Exactly. Let me say, and I'll David, I'll be. Sure. Well, actually, we've got to tell me, David. David. Okay. Wait, could we're going to do this in a little bit of an order. Just to be fair, and I wouldn't tangle with her. No, it's important. Let me just see why this is so important. Is because government exists. I mean, and today is a very special occasion. We signed this bill. We celebrate, God willing, women's health. But it is critically important that people have confidence in the integrity and the character of their governor and their elected officials. And in defense of the press, which is not something I do on a daily basis, I raise the question because it is important to be open, to be transparent, and that citizens have that knowledge. And let me just, the entirety of my professional life, from the state legislature until the present day, God willing, has been serving government because it's something for which I find great reward. And I've always said, one can question policy judgments, decisions. But never in the entirety of my life has anyone ever questioned my honesty, my work ethic, or why I do this every day for 14, 16 hours a day, except my father, who said it's irrational. And it's important. You know, I made this statement today reluctantly. And it's irrelevant as to whether someone is Republican or Democrat. This is our system of laws. This is our country. And I have a strong philosophical and almost religious commitment to how it should work. And I need for citizens to know, I strongly defended this process, this investigation. But at the outcome, when something becomes a matter of politics as opposed to a straight matter of law, and I find for the first time in my life my integrity, my character besmirched, it was important for me to stand up and say so. And I apologize to all the breast cancer survivors and to all the healthcare professionals who are here for the true purpose of this. But it is important that you know and that I know. Whether I am governor or I am not governor, the reason why I do this is to serve. I do not do this for personal aggrandizement, for money. I've had policy decisions questioned, but never my personal integrity. And that was important for me to say, as a man, as a father, and as governor. Thank you.